All right, here we go. We have Anthony Arillotta, former made man in the Genovese crime family. Welcome to VladTV.
Thanks for having me, Vlad.
Well, it's your first time here. I want to start in the very beginning. So you're from Springfield, Massachusetts,
Correct.
which is actually where I grew up originally.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when my family first immigrated from Russia, that's actually where we settled in the projects of Springfield, Massachusetts.
Whereabouts in Springfield? We're north end, south end?
I mean, I was 5 years old. I could probably find out, but I just remember we lived in the slums.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I definitely remember. Okay, so you're growing up, and I guess your family owns a produce store?
Yes.
Okay, and that's still around today?
No, the property's there, but the business is closed. My father was a fruit and produce, vegetables, wine grapes. He was the biggest wine grape distributor in all of Mass. Probably all of Mass, definitely Western Mass. Every wine grape season, he'd sell 30, 35 trailer loads of wine grapes. Back then, it was the grapes. Then they came with the buckets, the juice. So he was a hard worker, and he had the store since the 70s. He had another store prior to that. And so I grew up in the store working for him at a young age.
Okay, and was your dad Mafia related at all?
No.
Okay.
He was a worker, but he was never, he was just a hard-working man. He gambled. The only thing he did was bet sports, but nothing to do with taking sports or anything like that.
Okay, but in the area that you were in, there was Mafia guys all around growing up.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and also at the store, wise guys used to come into the store, frequent that. We grew up in that area. Everyone knew who the wise guys were. My family was close with two particular ones, Adolfo Bruno and Anthony DeLavo. They were both at the time soldiers. They both became bosses in the area. So they were always in the store. Back in the 80s, they used to hold meetings at my father's store without even my father knowing it. He had a back room where he would keep the pasta, the olive oil, and Bruno and Skyball and them would come up. They'd have the New York guys come up, Connecticut guys, Boston guys, and a lot of times they would meet in my father's back room. He didn't even know that they were, we were so busy. He was like a Costco before Costco, back in the, just putting pallets of, potatoes and onions and stuff right on the floor. So he was just busy working, and these guys would have meetings in the back. And I used to see him come in and wonder who they were at a young age, and, got to know, who they were eventually.
Okay, and I guess you got involved with some of the Mafia guys around 16?
I don't know if I got involved with them around 16. They were always a presence around, like I said, coming into the store. Around 16, I was always getting in trouble. They noticed me at that age, always in trouble, fighting in bars. But actually being with them, I think it was later on in life. I mean, we hung around down the south end of Springfield. So all the Italian clubs were down there. And so we would always be around them our whole lives. And as far as working for them, no, I wasn't working for them or having anything affiliation like that. I was doing, betting games myself, booking games. I got in trouble actually betting, at a young age, 16 years old. I ended up blowing close to $70,000, and there was all kinds of sit downs over that. But I mean, I was just me gambling, betting.
Okay, so at what point did you actually start getting arrested?
15 years old.
Okay, that was for what?
Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. I ended up being a juvenile delinquent at the time, but then I went back to trial, and the judge, I ended up getting it dismissed. So 15
Gotcha.
was when I started getting arrested, for fighting, assault and batteries mostly at a young age, fighting all the time. We had a gang of us. We were mostly Italians down the south end of Springfield. And we just went everywhere and fought other groups. And we were always fighting all the time. And a lot of times I got arrested for that. So that was mostly my younger arrest, 18, 19. I was on probation when I got arrested at 21, you know, what you were saying.
Okay, so I guess you caught a gun charge at 21?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, and why were you carrying around a gun at this point?
At that particular time, I used to carry a gun my later teens, but that particular time I was carrying it because we had a beef with another faction of, amongst us, Italians, and we were getting word that we fought this other faction. We got the better of them. And then we were getting word by one of their friends that they were looking to get us. So I was carrying, a 9mm, just going around living my life. But just in case they did be outside waiting when I come out of a restaurant, I would have shot them. So that's why I was carrying that 9mm. I actually, that group right there, I actually went and ended up shooting one of their animals, just to give them a message. But yeah, that's why I was carrying that gun at the time.
Okay. Now, with that gun charge, did you go to prison over that? Or
I
no?
did, yeah.
Okay. How long did you do?
I was on probation, so I violated my probation, and I got 5 years state prison. I was 21, and I got 5 years with a mandatory 1. So you would get the 5 years. Now, if you mess up in prison, you do the whole 5. But if you don't, you can see the parole board after 1 year, which I did. I seen the parole board after a year.
Okay, and you got out after a year?
I got out after a year. We had somebody on the parole board that always was looking out for me, and I had the a 2-to-1 vote all the time to get me out. That time wasn't that he was corrupt. He knew my family, so he was, and he knew other people, but he was just a good guy that knew my father. So when I went up in front of the parole board, he would, it was always 1-1, and then he was the decide and vote, because I had to go in front of him, I think 3 times.